Have you ever just stared at a blank screen, knowing you have to build an e-learning course, but just dreading the whole process? Well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're diving into a tool that claims it's a massive shortcut for exactly that problem, the Open LMS Learning Generator. So let's find out if it's the real deal.
All right, first things first, let's talk about the big hurdle here. I mean, for anyone in training or development, the dream is just to get your knowledge out there, right? But the reality of turning that knowledge into a professional, trackable course, that's usually the single biggest bottleneck in the entire process. Just think about it for a second. You've got the expertise, you've got all the content ready to go, but actually building it into something polished that you can share, it can feel like you've just hit a brick wall. The tools are often so clunky, the process is painfully slow, and you know what? It's a super common frustration for creators everywhere. And here's exactly why that is. Traditional e-learning tools are, to put it nicely, a real handful. They are super complex with these insane learning curves. They're expensive, usually locking you into these hefty subscription fees, and man, are they slow. We're talking about a development cycle that can take weeks just to get a first draft out. It's an old way of doing things that is just long overdue for a big change.
So what's the alternative? Well, this is where the hero of our story comes in, the Open ELMS Learning Generator. It's an AI-powered tool that basically promises to completely shatter that old, slow development model.
And here's the absolute key. This is not just about making some slides. You give it a simple prompt, just an idea really, and it turns it into a complete course with text, images, and even interactive elements. And it's SCORM compliant. Now, for those of you who might not know, SCORM is the industry standard that lets your course actually talk to and be tracked in pretty much any major learning management system, or LMS. And it does all of this in minutes. It's kind of wild.
Honestly, our first impression of the tool was just how clean and unbelievably fast it felt. The whole interface is focused entirely on the workflow. There's none of that visual clutter or those confusing menus you see in older software. It's so streamlined that the learning curve is, well, practically non-existent.
And the speed, it's really something else. I mean, we are talking less than 5 minutes to go from creating an account to generating your very first lesson. Now, compare that to the time it takes just to download, install, and try to figure out the basics of a traditional tool. It's a total night and day difference.
Okay, so we know it's fast and simple, but what does the process actually look like when you're using it? Let's break down how you get from just a simple idea all the way to a finished course.
The whole thing is just a simple, wizard-driven workflow. You start with a prompt, you let the AI generate the entire course structure and content, you make whatever edits you need, and then you export it. Prompt, generate, edit, export. That's literally it. Anyone can become an e-learning developer almost instantly.
You know, one of the smartest features is how it gets you started. Instead of just giving you a scary blank screen, the tool offers up templates for things like compliance training or maybe soft skills development. This guides you right from the very beginning, helping you frame your topic effectively, even if you're not an instructional designer. It's a design choice that really does make the whole process feel effortless.
So if we look at its core performance, the AI's ability to structure a topic is truly excellent. It just gets it right, creating a logical outline in seconds. It also automatically injects quizzes and knowledge checks, which is a massive time saver. And most importantly for professional use, that SCORM export is flawless. Now the branding options are pretty basic, but they're definitely enough to add your logo, match your brand colors, and just get the job done.
So, to really put it to the test, we gave it a simple prompt: create an introductory course on Agile project management. And within seconds, it generated this detailed 3-module outline covering the Agile mindset, Scrum roles, the sprint lifecycle. It even had relevant quiz questions. The result wasn't just a rough draft, it was logically structured and immediately usable. That is a huge win.
Okay, so the technology is really impressive, but what makes this tool a potential game changer right now are the economics behind the lifetime deal they're offering.
$59. And listen, that's not per month or per year. That is a one-time payment for lifetime access to the pro features. It is an almost unbelievably low price for a tool this capable.
Now, let's put that number in perspective for a second. A competitor like 𝗶𝗲𝘆𝘄cie costs around $25 a month, which adds up to $300 a year. With this Open ELMS deal, you pay $59 once, and that's it. You're done. No more recurring costs. I mean, the deal literally pays for itself in less than 3 months.
And the long-term value here is just huge. In the very first year alone, you save about $241. After 5 years, you've saved over $1,200. For any small team or a solo creator, that is a serious return on your investment.
This actually brings us to a really critical distinction. OpenELMS is not just another presentation tool. Its primary goal is creating trackable SCORM courses. It has robust AI for drafting content and, crucially, that industry-standard SCORM export. You just can't get that with a tool like 𝗲𝘀𝘆. This is a true e-learning authoring tool through and through.
So who should be jumping all over this deal? Well, it's perfect for individual course creators and independent trainers. It's absolutely ideal for small training teams. And it's a total game changer for any organization that wants to move beyond simple PDFs and into professional, trackable training without the massive cost and complexity.
All right, we've looked at the problem, the solution, the features, and the price. And that brings us to the big question, the final verdict. Is this a must-buy?
Look, to be fair, no tool is perfect, right? On the plus side, you've got unbeatable value, that incredibly fast AI drafting, and the absolutely crucial SCORM export. But on the downside, the design customization is pretty basic, the built-in asset library is a bit limited, and the AI's tone, yeah, sometimes it needs a little editing. It's definitely best for straightforward linear courses, not super complex branching scenarios.
So taking all of that into account, our final conclusion is pretty clear. This is a must-buy. For any solopreneur, course creator, or a small team that's focused on creating courses quickly and efficiently, the value here is just unparalleled. Simple as that.
And I think our source material really puts it perfectly. This tool successfully bridges the gap between simple presentation software and those really complex authoring tools. It sits right in that sweet spot, giving you professional output without the professional-grade headache.
So I'll just leave you with this question for your own work. When you look at your goals, is the ability to create high-quality, trackable content quickly the one thing that could completely change the game for you? Based on our analysis, for a lot of you, the answer might just be a resounding yes. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.